All right, we're going to peel back the layers on one of the most recognizable faces on the entire planet. But the story we're about to uncover, well, it's one of these incredible contrasts. It's the tale of a silent clown who was, believe me, anything but simple.
I mean, just think about it for a second. You could make a serious argument that this is the world's most famous man. You could show his face in pretty much any country on Earth, and people would know exactly who he is. And here's the crazy part. He got that famous by saying almost nothing at all. How does that even happen? How does a nearly silent performer become a global icon in this day and age? Well, that's the fascinating paradox we're digging into. And the sheer scale of his reach, it's just staggering. Take this number, 245. That's how many territories the original Mr. Bean series was sold in. 245. That's a level of global saturation that most entertainers can only ever dream about.
So, that's the big question, right? How did this silent icon become a universal language? How did one single character make the entire world laugh without needing a single word translated?
Now this is where it gets really interesting. This description, this is how Rowan Atkinson himself described the character. See, he's not just some bumbling fool. It's a precisely crafted persona, an anarchist driven by simple, selfish needs. This wasn't accidental comedy. This was comedy that was engineered.
So to really understand the creation, you have to understand the creator. And this is where the story takes a completely surprising turn as we look at the man behind the famous face.
Okay, just look at this. The disconnect here is massive. We're talking about a shy, introverted kid with a stammer who studies electrical engineering at Oxford University. This is the background of a brilliant academic, not the world's most famous clown.
And this quote from the man himself just nails it. He saw his talent with such clarity. He wasn't just being funny, he was applying his analytical, engineering mind to the actual mechanics of physical comedy, deconstructing it, studying it like a complex machine.
So this was the turning point. At Oxford, he meets his future collaborator, the incredible writer Richard Curtis, and he realizes that acting is his escape. The stammer that made him so shy, it just vanished the moment he became someone else. Performance wasn't just a talent for him, it was a total release.
But before he became the silent Mr. Bean, Atkinson was already a legend in the UK for playing the absolute opposite, a master of verbal wit called Blackadder.
Just look at this contrast. It's night and day. On one hand, you've got the childish, silent, physical comedy of Mr. Bean. On the other, Edmund Blackadder, one of the most cynical, intelligent, and wickedly articulate characters in TV history. This isn't just range. It's like two completely different comedic universes living in the same person.
The role of Blackadder demanded perfect diction and flawless timing to deliver these incredibly complex, witty, and often vicious insults. See, with Blackadder, Atkinson wasn't the fool. He was the smartest, sharpest man in the room, surrounded by fools. This completely shatters the idea that he's only a physical comedian.
Okay, so knowing all that about his intellectual depth and his skill with words, let's go back and look at Mr. Bean again. This wasn't a step back into simplicity. Oh no, this was a step into a totally different kind of genius.
And here is the formula for a global hit, broken down perfectly. First, you remove language, getting rid of any barriers for a worldwide audience. Second, you engineer every single movement with meticulous precision, just like the old silent film masters. And third, you basically revive that entire art form for modern TV. It was an absolute masterstroke.
When you look at his career laid out like this, you can see the clear progression. He starts with verbal sketch comedy, perfects his wit in Blackadder, and then pivots to the global, silent phenomenon of Mr. Bean. Later, he kind of merges the two in Johnny English, and then, fascinatingly, pivots again to serious, stoic drama with Maigret.
So who is the actual person responsible for all these characters? Let's take a look at the intensely private man behind all the masks.
And what's really interesting here is how much his real personality lines up with that intellectual we saw earlier. He's serious, a perfectionist, and a genuine car fanatic. And this little detail about crashing his multi-million-dollar McLaren F1 twice and then selling it for huge profit, well, that tells you everything you need to know about his fascinating life.
And to put a final nail in the idea that he's just a comedian, he took on the role of the famous detective Maigret. It was a somber, restrained, and really powerful performance that proved he could command the screen with quiet intensity, completely without laughter.
So we end with this question. The story of Rowan Atkinson, the Oxford engineer who became a silent clown, the articulate wit who conquered the world without words, it really leaves you wondering. Does it take a profoundly serious, analytical mind to create something so universally, so effortlessly funny? It seems in his case, the answer is a resounding yes.